Hello, fluffy tail lovers. Did you know that in nature, wild cats are solitary hunters who almost never form social groups? Yet we often get several cats hoping they will become best friends. But instead of peaceful coexistence, we get hissing, fighting, and stress. Today we will figure out how to properly befriend two cats living in one apartment and turn the Cold War into a warm friendship. If you are just planning to get a second pet or have already faced cat conflicts, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We regularly share proven tips on pet care and solving behavior problems. This information can be invaluable for maintaining peace in your home and the health of your furry friends. First, let us understand why cats often conflict when placed in the same space. The fact is that cats are territorial animals. In the wild, each cat has its own area for hunting and living, which it actively protects from the invasion of other cats. When we place two cats in the limited space of an apartment, we are essentially violating their natural instincts. The first cat perceives the entire apartment as its territory, and the appearance of the second cat as an invasion of an outsider. This is where conflicts arise, which can range from passive aggression and avoidance to open confrontations and fights. But do not despair. Nature has also given cats the ability to socialize, especially if this process is properly organized. Before bringing a second cat into your home, it is important to prepare thoroughly. The first thing to do is assess the temperament of your current cat. Some cats are more sociable by nature and more easily accept new neighbors, while others are territorial and jealous. If your cat has never interacted with its own kind or has a history of conflicts, be prepared for a longer adaptation process. You should also consider the age and gender of both cats. It is usually easier to befriend a kitten with an adult cat than two adult cats. And neutered or spayed pets are usually less aggressive and territorial than animals with preserved reproductive function. Now let us talk about the very first introduction. This is a critically important moment that can determine the future relationship between the cats. The main rule is to never let the process take its own course by simply releasing the new cat into the space where the old-timer already lives. Such an approach will almost certainly lead to conflict and can permanently damage the relationship between the pets. Instead, organize a gradual introduction through a barrier. Place the new cat in a separate room with everything it needs: a litter box, a bowl for food and water, a scratching post, a bed. Give both cats time to get used to each other's scents through a closed door without forcing events. This period can last from several days to a couple of weeks, depending on the individual characteristics of your pets. After the cats get a little used to each other's scents through the door, you can move on to the next stage: introduction through a barrier with the ability to see each other. Mesh doors or tall child safety gates work great for this. You can also use a carrier. Place one cat in it and allow the other to freely explore the room. Then switch their places. Carefully observe the reaction of both cats. If you see strong aggression, hissing, bristling fur, aggressive postures, do not rush to move to the next stage. If the cats show curiosity without signs of aggression, this is a good sign. One of the most effective methods to befriend cats is the method of dividing and alternating spaces. The essence of it is that you allow each cat to explore the entire apartment in turns, while the other is in its safe room. This helps the animals get used to each other's scents without the stress of direct confrontation. During such exploratory sessions, do not completely remove the scents of the other cat. Let toys or beds remain, but always provide access to clean resources: new beds, food bowls, litter boxes. Gradually, the time of such sessions can be increased and then start leaving the doors between the rooms ajar so that the cats can see each other but easily diverge to their own zones if desired. A very important aspect in the process of introducing cats is creating positive associations with each other. Use shared pleasant experiences so that cats begin to associate each other's presence with something good. For example, feed them on different sides of the door, gradually moving the bowls closer to each other. When the cats are ready for visual contact, feed them at some distance from each other in the same room, gradually reducing the distance. Play with both cats simultaneously using two wand toys. This helps them share a common pleasant activity without having to share one toy. Encourage calm behavior with treats and affection. For the harmonious coexistence of two cats, it is extremely important to properly organize the territory. The basic rule here is resource redundancy. Each cat should have access to its own food and water bowl, litter box, scratching post, bed, and shelter. And the number of such resources should be greater than the number of cats. For two cats, at least 3 litter boxes located in different parts of the apartment. Create vertical space, shelves, houses at different heights, cat trees. This will allow cats to observe each other from a safe distance and avoid confrontation in the limited floor area. Remember that each cat should have the opportunity to get from point A to point B by several routes to avoid collisions in narrow passages. Do you know that in the cat world, scents and pheromones play a huge role? Cats communicate with each other and mark territory using special glands located on the face, paws, and tail. You can use this natural mechanism to create a common group scent. Take a soft cloth and gently wipe the cheeks of one cat with it, and then use the same cloth on objects in the other cat's area and vice versa. You can also use synthetic pheromones, which are sold in pet stores in the form of diffusers or sprays. They mimic calming cat pheromones and help reduce stress levels during introduction. It is very important to learn to recognize signs of progress and signs of problems in the relationship between cats. Good signs include mutual grooming, sleeping next to each other, or even cuddling, playing without aggression, absence of hissing and growling when meeting. Do not expect cats to immediately become best friends. Neutral coexistence without conflicts can already be considered a success. Warning signs include constant pursuit of one cat by another, blocking access to resources, frequent fights with injuries, refusal to eat or use the toilet due to fear, excessive grooming to the point of bald spots. This is a sign of stress. If you notice these signs over a long period of time, you may need to consult an animal behavior specialist. Owners often make a number of typical mistakes when introducing cats, which can seriously complicate the process. The first mistake is rushing. Do not force the introduction. Give the cats as much time as they need to adapt. The second mistake is punishment for aggressive behavior. Never yell at a cat or physically punish it for hissing or aggression towards a new pet. This will only strengthen negative associations. The third mistake is unequal attention. Try to give roughly the same amount of attention to both cats to avoid jealousy. And finally, the mistake of underestimating the situation. Some owners believe that cats should figure things out on their own, but without proper human intervention, the conflict can only worsen. What to do if, despite all efforts, friendship between cats does not work out? In some cases, complete harmony is indeed unattainable due to incompatibility of characters or past negative experiences. But even in such situations, peaceful coexistence can be achieved. Consider the possibility of long-term territory division. Some cats live peacefully in the same apartment, but in different rooms, with minimal contact with each other. Use pheromone diffusers on an ongoing basis to reduce the overall stress level. In extreme cases, medication behavior correction may help, but this should always be the last resort and only as prescribed by a veterinarian. Interestingly, the relationship between cats is strongly influenced by factors such as age, gender, and reproductive status. It is usually easiest to befriend a kitten with an adult cat, especially if the kitten is younger than 4 months. Adult cats usually do not perceive babies as competitors and may show parental feelings towards them. As for gender, pairs of females often conflict due to more pronounced territoriality. Pairs of males can live amicably if both are neutered. Mixed pairs are often the optimal option. Spaying and neutering significantly reduce the level of aggression and territoriality, so they are recommended for all domestic cats living in groups. One of the frequent questions from owners: how long does it take for cats to become friends? The time frames for adaptation can vary greatly, from several weeks to several months. On average, the process of full adaptation takes about 2 to 3 months, but in complex cases, it can stretch up to 6 months. Be patient and remember that each pair of cats is unique. Some immediately find common ground, others need a long time to get used to each other. The main thing is not to stop at what has been achieved and continue working on the relationship, even if progress is visible. Returning to previous stages of introduction when problems arise is normal practice. After cats have begun to coexist peacefully, it is important to maintain the achieved balance. Continue to provide resource redundancy, a sufficient number of bowls, litter boxes, beds. Regularly play with both cats, giving each individual attention. Monitor the dynamics of the relationship. Sometimes, even after a long period of friendship, temporary conflicts can arise, especially after stressful events such as moving, renovation, or a visit to the veterinarian. In such cases, temporarily return to separate housing with a gradual restoration of contact. And remember that cats, like people, can change their preferences and relationships with age. Special attention should be paid to situations where a new cat appears in the house due to the merging of families or temporary placement. In such cases, the process of introduction may be complicated by the fact that both cats have established habits and, possibly, negative experiences of communication with their own kind. Here it is especially important not to rush and start the introduction with a complete separation. It is useful, before merging, to exchange items with the scents of animals. Send your cat's bed to the house where the future neighbor lives, and vice versa. So the first introduction will not be a complete surprise, and the cats will partially get used to each other's scents. Modern technology can also help in the process of introducing cats. There are automatic feeders with recognition of animals by microchip, which open only for a specific cat. This helps avoid conflicts over food and ensure each pet has access to its portion. Automatic toys are also useful, which can distract and entertain cats in your absence, reducing stress levels. Surveillance cameras with recording function will help track the interaction of cats when you are not at home and adjust the introduction process based on their behavior without your presence. So, let us summarize. To befriend 2 cats living in one apartment, it is necessary to organize a gradual introduction through a barrier, use the method of dividing and alternating spaces, create positive associations with each other, ensure resource redundancy, use pheromones to reduce stress, patiently observe progress, avoid typical mistakes, and remember that the process can take several months. By following these recommendations, most cats can learn to coexist peacefully and sometimes even become real friends, playing and sleeping together. Do you have experience introducing cats? What methods helped your pets find common ground? Or perhaps you have difficulties that you still cannot cope with? Share your stories in the comments. Perhaps your experience will help other owners solve similar problems. If this video was helpful to you, do not forget to like it and share it with friends who also have several cats or who are just planning to get a second pet. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next video, in which we will talk about another fascinating aspect of cat psychology that will help you better understand your furry friend. Remember, patience, consistency, and love are the keys to harmonious relationships between your pets. Until next time in the world of cat secrets.